Greg Pickel, we're gonna look ahead, but it's hard to ignore what we saw here in the whiteout game. Just talking to Dave Jones, it sure felt like Penn State was ready to just put one on these guys up 21-0. The crowd's into it. The exact opposite happens, and you could make a case Penn State might be just slightly fortunate to win this game, and it would have been a very, very tough game to explain for the Penn State coaching staff had they lost this one.
Yeah, there's a sign in this room that we're in that has the players listed by position, and Noah Cain's at the top of the running back list, which is hilarious, all things considered, what we saw here tonight. You know, it's beating a dead horse, but at the same time,
that's all anyone's going to talk about this week anyway.
and if you want to be a college football playoff contender, you have to put your best players on the field. Noah Cain, for whatever reason, did not see a lot of time in this win. James Franklin's not going to give an answer that anybody wants to hear about why that continues to be the case. So, you know, I think you just said it. I think you're fortunate. You know, when you score 28 points, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. When you score 28 points, Bob, you're going to be probably in line to win most nights. This one, they sort of won despite that fact.
Yeah, and, you know, as good as Noah was against Purdue, and especially against Iowa, Penn State had to lean on its special teams a little bit because Gillikin was good again, and KJ Hamler had a nice return. He should have had a kickoff return for a touchdown, called back, and explosive plays in the passing game, but it was just really hit or miss for Penn State.
Right.
The whole game, the running game was not consistent. They didn't put Noah Cain on the field. So let's spin it forward. You know, if they have a similar effort like this one at Michigan State, where there's no whiteout environment, there's no home field advantage. As much as Michigan State struggled sometimes this season, I think it's going to go to the wire in that one too.
Yeah, it feels weird talking about a team that's 7-0 that just will beat another top 25 team in this light. But I mean, I think you wrote it, I did as well. If you're going to play, it's now officially a concern when this offense goes into lulls that it can't get out of. And when they're in those lulls, Bob, nothing goes right. The defense ends up on the field for 82 plays. And Micah Parsons said after the game, no big deal. But wait till those guys get up tomorrow, and you know it is a big deal, especially when you can't get a pass rush home. So yeah, there's a lot pointing to that game being maybe closer than it should be.
Yeah, and I just think that the questions about the running game are going to continue. When you look at Sean Clifford's day, I think it's more good than bad. And we talk about, you know, what KJ Hamler did in the game. One of the big plays in the game, and the thing that's going to, the slant that on 3rd and 5, the 8-yard slant that he and Hamler teamed up on right before the long touchdown, I thought was one of the biggest plays in the game. I'm a little concerned about the tackling in the secondary. It was good early, then they started to miss some tackles late. I don't know if Michigan State can throw the ball, but if you're James Franklin and you're the coaching staff, you celebrate the win and you move forward, but what's the message to the team? What are the priorities? What needs to be cleaned up between now and next Saturday in Lansing?
Yeah, I think the first one is obviously those losses on offense. You just can't have them, especially not on the road. Secondly, I think you make a good point with the secondary tackling. That was a area of concern. And, you know, Brent Price said earlier this week that it's hard to be too rough on the secondary guys and the defenders in general when they commit penalties that extend drives because they want them to be aggressive. But Bob, happened again tonight, happened at Iowa, happened here against Purdue, happened against Pittsburgh. There's too many 3rd down penalties that I think they have to get cleaned up. Eventually, one of these things, whether it's the inability to consistently play offense for 4 quarters, penalties on 3rd downs that keep you on the field, and I mean, some of these things are eventually going to catch up to them. They haven't yet. They've been able to survive and hold those off, but they're going to catch up at some point if they're not cleaned up.
One thing that's going to come up this week, is I'll bring it up, and I know you'll bring it up, is the last 2 games against Michigan State, 1 home, 1 away. The offense has been AWOL in the 4th quarter. 2 years ago in the weather delay game, I believe they were shut out 6-0. They scored. Michigan State got two field goals. Penn State didn't score last year. I think they scored 3 points, and Michigan State got them late. What kind of sorcery does Brian Lewerke hold over this Penn State team, Greg? Because if you look at he's been hurt quite a bit, but a lot of his career has been very erratic. But when it comes to playing against Penn State, especially in the 4th quarter, the guy has had all the answers. What do you make of that, and should they be worried about him?
I think that, yeah, he's always a problem, and it really comes down to, and he doesn't look like a problem this year, but he'll sure find a way to be against Penn State. Yeah, But to me, I think it comes down to they got to put teams away. You can't let Shea Patterson have a drive on his arm to tie the game, and you can't let Brian Lorkie do it next week either. You got to, when you get up, you can't lead 21-0 and then sort of take the foot off the gas pedal or do whatever it was Penn State did out there, Bob, to only score 7 more points the rest of the way and hang on the win.
Real quick, over/under on the total number of carries for Noah Cain next week against Michigan State. What are you setting it at?
I'm going to set it at 7.5 and go over.
14.5 is my over/under. They're finally going to give him the ball next week, but that's a good front seven. They're going to have to get some better. They're going to get better on defense, and they're going to need some other players in the passing game step up.